Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to What's Up, Cuz. I'm your host, Jason Palmer, along with my cousin, the coach himself, Lance C. Irvin. Welcome back to What's Up, Cuz. Sorry about that. I had the button muted there, but man, that was fun talking to Mark Davis, man. That's your boy from Biddy League Basketball, huh?
You know, basketball, baseball, anytime you could get that point of view on what he does for a living is great. Because like I mentioned, everyone thinks they can ref. Like everybody sits at home, that's a bad call. He stinks. But you don't know what goes into refereeing, right? So just having him on to educate our fans, I think that was huge.
I do too, man. And, me being a referee, I really appreciate hearing from someone like Mark. He's a really good brother, and to see him get to the highest level in the officiating vocation, which is not easy to do, I just have mad respect for him. So appreciate that. But let's get to our next guest, man, because the college basketball season is getting ready to tip off this week, and we've got the coach of Chicago's Big Ten team. This guy, he's a native of our area. He played his high school ball up at Glenbrook North, where he became a McDonald's All-American. He then went on to play at Duke University. He played professionally in Finland. And then he followed into the coaching ranks like his father, legendary Doug Collins. And now we got him on our show. You pulled it off, Lance. I asked you, I challenged you, could you get this guy on the show? You did it. And I'm so happy for you. But I'm even happy that we have the head coach of Northwestern, Chris Collins. Coach, how you doing? Welcome to What's Up, Cuz.
What's up, guys? I can't believe you're making me follow Mark Davis, though. That's going to be dirty with that. You got the Mark Davis on. But no, man, Lance is my guy, and he wanted me on the show. I was there right away. I said, "When do you need me?"
Man, you did, Chris. I appreciate you being on. You mean a lot to the Irvin family. You have been good to us. Your father's been good to us. The whole family. And when my cousin Jason, he was on me. Can you get Chris Collins on the show? Can you get Chris Collins on the show? I said, you know what? Let me call Chris. So I said, Chris, my cousin loves you. So I'm just gonna sit back, Chris. Let him enjoy himself. Chris, he had Corey Irvin on the show, who is my sister-in-law. Yeah. I was talking to him. He comes out with a Northwestern shirt on. He has a wore Chicago State shirt, then wear St. Xavier shirt. So
my kind of guy.
So now you have Chris on. But Chris, I'm gonna ask the first question, and I'm gonna let him just run with it like he does. But I'm gonna ask you the question that I get asked so often these days. What is different coaching with COVID these days? I mean, it's been tough for me. How have you been dealing with coaching?
Yeah, it's been really difficult, Lance. It's starting in the spring, first of all, not being able to see our guys, everything shut down so quickly. It was just like everyone was gone, everybody was home, and we really didn't see our guys until the end of the summer, heading into the fall, and then just trying to be safe and have these guys, health and safety at the forefront. It started off practicing in masks and social distancing, and you guys know, man, basketball is not a sport to be social distance and wearing masks. And, it's a physical, competitive, and it's hard to talk trash when you have a mask. That's been the hardest thing for me. But it's, what we've tried to just make do. I mean, and you got to know every day, and this, Lance, like there's going to be curveballs about every day. Whether it's positive tests, whether it's new protocols, whether it's new health and safety guidelines, whether it's guys going into quarantine, like you literally have to come into every day and know that, you're probably going to get some news you might not like, or my schedule's changed about 15 to 20 times in the last 20 days. That I saw you just picked up a game yesterday. Right? So, I said, I didn't think they were playing Illinois. Now they're playing Illinois.
So I didn't think we were playing them either until they told me when I walked in the office.
So it's been crazy, but you know what? For the sake of these kids, like I hope we can pull this off and they can play. I mean, all the things that they've done, the sacrificing, the giving up. There is no college social life right now. They're almost living in a mini bubble. They're coming to practice. They're trying to do what's right, and I just hope that everything can work out. The season starting this week, we can pull this thing off. Because the players deserve it. Forget about the coaches. This is their time. They deserve that time to go out there and play college basketball. There's nothing like it.
Coach Chris, let me ask you. So, a variety of things I want to talk to you about. But one of the things, as you bring up COVID, one of the things that helped a lot of us this summer deal with this COVID was The Last Dance on ESPN and watching it, and how many memories it brought back. You were a person who got to be right there in the thick of it. You got to see the development of the Bulls as your dad was the coach, and you got to be the ball boy. So you were around these guys. What did you think about the documentary itself, and how true do you think it really was for a person like yourself who was really right there with those guys every day? How accurate was it?
Yeah, well, the first thing, you got it right, man. That documentary saved all of us there for about whatever it was. 2 weeks. Man, we were dying for every Sunday night. I know I need to see something with some basketball. But the thing, for me, I mean, obviously I was only around it during a 3-year stretch. The 3 years my dad was there. And I thought the 3 years that they talked about when, right after Michael had broken his foot, had the big game against Boston in the playoffs, the 3 years my dad was coaching, which kind of led to – the Cleveland, the buzzer beater, the shot on Elo, the Eastern Conference Finals. I thought, at least for me, I mean, during that time, I was in middle school. So, I mean, I was lucky being a ball boy to be kind of a fly on the wall and go to a lot of those practices. And, I think the one thing people got a real sense of was just how competitive and how driven Michael was. We all got to see it in the games, but that's what always made the biggest impact on me as a kid, was going to practice every day and just seeing, he wanted to win every sprint. He wanted to win every shooting drill, every scrimmage. If you tried to sub him out, he wouldn't. He wanted to stay in there. He was just so competitive, so driven. And it made a big impact on me as a kid, as someone who loved basketball, to see the most talented player in the world work that hard every day. I was like, man, if I want to be good, I better work hard. And, it was really cool, too, just to be around Scotty and Horace when they were rookies and young guys, and kind of just watch that group get better. I mean, I just remember how fun it was in the city as they were making that run and getting better. Forget about when they won the championships, just those couple of years when everybody sensed it was coming. For me, it was so fun. And obviously, a lot of good stories, being in the locker rooms and being at the games, and I learned a lot about the game, and obviously Michael was a big part of that.
So let me ask you this, Chris, and talk a little bit about your program and what you're doing, kind of up there at Northwestern. One of the things that people have said, and we talked about on one of our earlier shows on Sean and Maya this morning, is for some reason, there seems to be somewhat of a disconnection between some athletes on the south side and west side of Chicago and Northwestern, in that it's so geographically close to the city, yet in so many minds, it's far away from the city. And I don't know if that's because everyone feels like they can't reach the academic standards to get an athletic scholarship to go to Northwestern, which we know is false. What do you try to do to get past that obstacle, to get more of the top athletes in Chicago to give Northwestern a chance in both football and basketball? Because you both are having really successful programs. Your football team is off the chain this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I always, growing up, even though I wasn't in the south side or west side, I was on the north side. I've always, Chicago was my home. And I always felt, even for me coming out, Northwestern wasn't a big option for me coming out of high school. And I kind of looked at it as an assistant coach. And when I was at Duke, and I just wondered why. Obviously the winning was part of it, not having been an NCAA tournament caliber team, not producing a lot of all that kind of stuff. But it was a great school. Anybody who's been on campus, I mean, it's right on Lake Michigan.
Yes.
Beautiful campus. You play in the Big Ten. It's high-level academics. And it was really important to me when I came back to try to recruit the area, and really, if you look at our NCAA tournament team, that a couple years ago, we had Vic Law, who was a St. Rita product, who came from the South Side. We had Scotty Lindsey from Fenwick. We had Jordan Ash, who grew up in Bolingbrook. Barrett Benson, who's from Willow. We had some local guys, that were a big part of that, and we need to continue to do that. I mean, I've always said, I want to be an option. Now, you're not going to get everybody, but I want the better prospects and the guys to be able to look at us and say, I got everything I need, and I can have my family at all the games, and I can stay home.
Yes.
You know, and part of it is we have to continue to sustain ourselves as a winner. I think it helped when we did get there a couple years ago. We won a game. We showed like it is doable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we the last couple years we took a little bit of a step back, and we got to reemerge. And you know, people want to play for winners. They want to play in winning programs. They want to feel like they have a chance to play professionally. You know, Vic Law was on the Orlando Magic last year, so now we had a guy who kind of cracked through, and he was a local product.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very important to me, you know, and certainly, you know, you're seeing a lot of other schools kind of come into the area and attracts a lot of the top talent, and that's always going to happen. I mean, it's Chicago basketball, so the big boys are always going to come in.
Mm-hmm.
But if we can establish ourselves and at least be an option for those players. And it takes me, like, I got to get out. I mean, that was important to me. I mean, I've known, obviously, the Irvin family. I played against Mike. I played, you know, I've known Papa Irvin, you know, for as long. I mean, he meant a lot to me. Mama Irvin, I mean, they, you know, so, you know, I feel hopefully that being a Chicago guy myself can help us, because I think Chicagoans embrace their own. So if you see, like, someone who's from here, you know, wanting to establish themselves with local players, that's a start. And then we got to continue to develop the relationships. And the proof is in the pudding. You got to go out there and win. You know, so when you're recruiting against these high level programs that have a tradition of success, you can say, look, we're going to win too. And so it's a great question, because it's something that's very important to me. I feel like there's enough talent at home where if you can get 2-3 guys each year, you can compete against anybody. And
I agree.
And that's something that we're trying to do with our recruiting.
I agree. Once again, we're being joined by Northwestern men's head basketball coach Chris Collins. And I got a quick follow-up to that. Recruiting today's athletes, a lot different than when you were recruited. A lot of them are looking for the flash and the splash, which, you know, that's not Northwestern typically. But, you know, that's kind of what they're looking for. So one of my buddies actually said, one of the things I'd love to see Northwestern do is do something with their uniforms, because their colors, that purple and white, can really pop. But what your football team did, they made the doggone thing black. So I'm like, what are y'all doing? So we know you all are Under Armour school. Is that something that you actually have to consider as a basketball program? You know, making that purple pop when we see you on TV, Chris.
I agree with that. You know, one of the things we've done the last couple of years, and it's been a big hit, we've actually had the players for our senior game. We let the senior class, the last 3 years have allowed our senior class to design their own jersey. And that's been a big thing. They take what they've liked from pro jerseys, from other colleges, different color schemes. You know, we have worked a black jersey in now. We have a gray. But you guys know it's a big deal. Like, even with Under Armour, you know, when Steph Curry got hot, that helped us. You know, because for a while, you know, it's like, man, Under Armour, they don't have any star players. They don't, you know, we want to wear the Jordans. We want to wear the Adidas, whatever it was. Then all of a sudden, the best player in the world is wearing Under Armour. You know, so now the Steph Currys, you know, are a little bit more acceptable. So, you know, it's all, as you guys know, it's all about, you know, it doesn't take much for something to get cool or something to get in, you know, and I think a lot of it goes hand in hand. Like, our uniforms will look cooler if we're better. You know,
Yeah.
We got great players wearing those uniforms. Like, they're going to look cooler if somebody's dropping 30 and getting dunks and all those things. So it's funny how that works. So, but yeah, I mean, I think in today's age with social media and the cool, like all that, you have to stay on top of all that stuff with Twitter and Snapchat. And my kids are on this TikTok thing that I'm trying to figure out now. So they got me dancing on TikTok and all these different. So, but you have to because you have to relate to these young people. These are the young people you're recruiting that you want to come play for you. So that's one of the things I learned from Coach K that I think he's done a masterful job with, is as he's gotten older, he hasn't been set in his ways. You know, he's been very adaptable and flexible to changing with the times. And I mean, now, you know, all the one and dones, I mean, forever, like Duke was the last program that really had guys leave early. You know, now they got 3-4 one and dones per year, you know, and that was Coach K kind of changing his philosophy. And so I think I've kind of learned from him. You got to adjust, you got to be adaptive, you got to be flexible. And certainly in today's day and age, you got to keep up with these young guys if you want to stay relevant with them.
You know what, Chris? I'm sitting there smiling because they had the other day, they had on Versus, they had Jeezy versus Gucci. So I'm sitting there watching it, trying to make sure I'm watching it.
Yeah.
So the players and I, so we could talk about that. And excuse my cousin, Chris. He had the nerve to sit up and say, Chris, when you were recruiting, it changed. Yes, he has changed, but I didn't want you to think he was calling you old, Chris. I don't want you to think that.
Well, plus to your point, Lance, to your point, like I was more with the babyface versus Teddy Riley, My guys are looking at me like, what are you talking about? I'm like, those two guys, that's where it's at.
You know what, Chrissy? That's why I wanted to have you on the show, because I tell people, I said, look, Chris has a great personality. I said, I really love Chris. But one thing I don't envy you about right now, Chris, your conference is a dog-eat-dog conference.
Don't
I
remind
checked, you had like 6 rated in the top 25. So talk to me about how you guys plan on getting better. I think over the past couple of years, you were young last year.
Yes.
And then one year, I think your point guard hurt you. But talk to me how you think the team will fare this year.
Yeah, I think we're much better. But to your point, you play in a conference where there's 6 to 8 teams in the top 25, 4 in the top 10 preseason. Mm-hmm. So, like that's the part of the Big Ten. Like you can get better, but not be making a whole lot of ground because everybody's really good. So, I think what we have to do is stick to what's good for us. We got to get back to we lost a lot of close games last year, which hurt us. When we've been good, we've been really good in those situations. And those can be really big confidence builders, winning a close game against a high-level team versus losing. And it can kind of put you into a tailspin. So, one of the things that I kind of learned after my first year was trying not to look at the schedule past like the next game in front of you, because when you play in the Big Ten, you can look at about 8, 10, 12 games in a row and physically get sick, saying to yourself as coach, this, Land, you kind of look at the schedule sometimes and you're like, who are we going to beat? This is not looking good. So, what I've tried to do is just, play the next game in front of us. I think we have more experience. We played a lot of young kids last year. I got 6 of my top 7 returning. We added a couple freshmen that I think are really going to help us. And, I think we have a chance. The one thing that's good about playing in a league like the Big Ten, we have 14 teams. Last year, probably 9 to 10 of those teams were going to go to the tournament, before everything hit with COVID. So it's not like you have to win the league to go to the postseason. You have to win enough. You have to put a resume together where, you can be in that top half to give your, it's because it's getting the invitation to the dance is the hardest part. Once you get there, everybody's got a shot. You see crazy things happen. So, we got to climb a couple rungs on the ladder this year. And I think our guys are poised to do that if things break right for us.
You know what? How is Nance doing, Chris, that plays for you? Like a couple of years ago, I thought he was primed to really have a breakout season. So how is he doing for you this year?
Yeah, he's going to be a junior. Pete Nance, for those that don't know, he's the son of Larry Nance, the great Cleveland Cavalier, and his brother, Larry Nance Jr., is currently in the Cavs. So, you got a guy who's kind of grown up in a basketball family, a brother and a father who are pros. And I think early in his career, he kind of felt the pressure of that, and I thought, he was putting a lot of pressure on himself to try to do more, to kind of be, live up to his name, and I think last year at the end of the season, he played really well down the stretch, the last 6 to 8 games. He's had a good offseason. He's gotten stronger. And to your point, he's starting his junior year. And sometimes, like we're so into instant gratification. Like sometimes it just takes some time with kids. They got to figure it out. They got to learn. They got to get stronger. They got to figure out how to be successful at the college level. And for him, I think it's taken him that time. And I'm excited about him. He's 6'10". He's long. He can shoot threes. He's athletic. He's kind of that modern big guy now that can play all over the floor. And for us to be good, we need him to be good. There's no question about it. And I'm excited to see what he can do this year.
Coach Chris, let me ask you this. For you personally, growing up, Glenbrook North, going there for school, Evanston, not far away, Northwestern. You get to come back to be the head coach at Northwestern University. What is this like your dream job for you from a coaching aspect, or I mean, can it get any better?
Yeah, I mean, it was the perfect situation. You know, for me, I always wanted. I did not want to be somewhere where I wanted to go somewhere. I was at Duke. You know, I had a good gig.
Yeah.
I went there. We were winning big. I was coaching great kids. Loved being with Coach K. You know, so to leave there, it had to be something that I felt was a perfect fit for me. And you know, Chicago, I've always loved Chicago. Like it fits me. Like ever since I moved here when I was 13, Chicago became my home. It's a sports city. It's a basketball city. It's, you know, where I went to high school, and to be able to bring my family back to the area where I grew up and kind of have a similar upbringing, to coach at a school like Northwestern that has great academics, plays in the Big Ten at the highest level. And it was home. Like for me, like it didn't get any better than that. And I like challenges. You know, for me, they've never won before. So when people said, why would you go to a place that's never won before? For me, that made it exciting. You know, I felt it was a place I could blaze my own trail and, you know, and go and make something happen and build a program at a place that has never seen winning. And I still believe that to be true. And I'm committed to being here long term and making this my home. I mean, if this is where I am my whole career, I would love that.
Well said. I have one last question for you, Chris. It's kind of tough. It's going to be the toughest question you're going to get all night. Byron Irvin, Lance Irvin, Nick Irvin, Mac Irvin, Mike Irvin, Cindy Irvin. Which Irvin would you pick if you were playing in the game? You only have one pick.
I could only pick. Well, Nick never passes the ball. I would never pick Nick because he shoots every time he. Now, Mike had some point guard in him. You know, he had to play with Juwan back then. So, you know, and Antoine and those guys. So, you know, Mike would pass a little bit. You know, Byron, I like Byron's toughness. Like, you know, Byron had that toughness. You know, he had that size. I think he'd set some good screens for me. I think I go with Byron, even though I love them all. I think I'll go with Byron.
That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I mean, Byron is the one that went to the NBA, Chris. So
yeah. I'm not stupid. I like talent.
and that's the first rule of coaching. Knowing who got talent. And we got one more question from one of our viewers. Can we put that question back up, Byron? One of our viewers had a quick question for both coaches. Want to talk about the difficulties in scheduling during this year and the need to be able to pivot quickly if a game gets canceled. You both have kind of experienced that. We got about a minute left. Can you both kind of just hit on that topic real quick on what it's like for you all?
Chris, go ahead, Chris.
I just hope Chicago State shows up on December 5th or whenever we're supposed to play them. Not because they – I just don't know. I mean, literally. I mean, we have games. You know, we all are waiting for that call. You saw today. I mean, there were – how many games were canceled 2 days before the first game? So I think we're all like hoping and praying, fingers crossed, that everybody can stay healthy. We all want to play. But to your point, we have to stay flexible. And I think all of us kind of – you saw what Lance did. Like he lost the DePaul game or whatever, and all of a sudden they picked one up in one day. You know? You got to do, right? I mean, you got to be ready.
Chris, I had last Friday, guys, no lie, I had Dayton, Duquesne. It went from Dayton, Duquesne, Western Illinois to Illinois, North Carolina A&T, Ohio in a matter of 4 hours. My schedule had changed. In 4 hours it changed.
I know. I think we just have to be flexible this year. It's a year unlike any other. You know, we're seeing that. It's going to be different. Let's just try to do what we can to get as many games in and keep safe. We got to keep these players safe. I mean, at the end of the day, we're in a pandemic. Mm-hmm. I mean, we got to stay safe as coaches. We got to stay safe for our families, for the players. But we also understand if we can get out there and play, like it brings a lot of smile to people's faces to be able to turn on games and watch basketball. How fun was it to watch the bubble? You know, in the NBA, I mean, it gave us something to do in a really tough time. So hopefully we can keep this thing going and get out there and play some games and make the most of it this year in a tough time.
Man, Chris, appreciate it. And our producer, Maya, she went to Iowa. And I don't know, Chris, she just talks crazy about Iowa beating Northwestern. And she was supposed to jump on the screen and ask you a question, but she got scared because, I told her I'm taking Northwestern over Iowa. So not.
I've told you about this, Chris. By the way, I made no such comment about. I made no such comment. Everybody knows I put Iowa, but everything. So of the 7 Big Ten teams in the top 25, there are 3 in the top 10, and Iowa is ranked the highest at 5. I'll exit on that. You be quiet, Lance.
Yeah, they got the reigning National Player of the Year, Luka Garza. They got everybody back. It's going to be a tough out. So we better lace them up tight that night. Hawkeyes are going to be tough this year. I know that for sure.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Coach Chris. Best of luck to you. Please keep yourself and your family and all your players safe. Say hello to your dad to us. He was always so great to our family. And it was just a pleasure and honor to have you come on and join us on our podcast. But I got to kick you off because the next person is coming on to talk about the fight in the Illini, your rival. So I gotta get a Illini fan nation. They time, but they gonna be after me.
Chris on.
Yeah, appreciate you guys, man. Happy holidays. Be safe.
You too. We'll be right back with my guy Kendrick Prince. We're gonna talk some fighting Illini hoops coming up. Stay with us.